every time someone brings up this topic on the internet, there's always going to be some person out there that's going to say, well, what about the research costs? It's not free, you know. Yeah, we know. So let's have a look at Duexis versus other drugs that have had significant research costs. So Duexis is a mixture of ibuprofen and famotidine. They did not spend any money to develop either one of those drugs. They just took two older drugs and mixed them together. Now let's compare it to this list over here of drugs that actually had to be developed from scratch. They're brand new compounds. Now let's look at the prices. 300, 200, 300, 300, 600, 300, 400, 300, and 200. Now you can say whatever you want about these medications versus their effectiveness to other drugs that are currently on the market right now, but what you can't deny is that there was a lot of money spent on these drugs. They had to run an expensive laboratory for years. They had to hire scientists, doctors, chemists, and a whole host of other people. And after doing years and years of research and experimenting, you end up with something that, number one, you're not sure is going to work in people, and number two, it might not be safe in them. So at the end of all that time, you might have exactly nothing. So let's compare that to Duexis. It's a mixture of two older drugs. Ibuprofen has been out since the 50s, famotidine since the 80s. And it's been taken in combination for many years before someone decided to patent it. So Duexis, they didn't have drug development research costs. They didn't run an expensive laboratory for years and years. They didn't have to hire expensive scientists and doctors and chemists to develop these drugs. The information was already readily available. So I'm really having trouble understanding where the research costs are. I'm just not really seeing it here. But then again, there might be other research costs that people are not aware of, like the development of the drug name Duexis. It might be very expensive to come up with a very cool sounding name. And Duexis, it sounds like a portal to another dimension, like it should belong on an episode of Stargate or something like that. Or think of something like this: may the Duexis be with you. It sounds pretty good. So maybe the drug development cost really wasn't that significant in Duexis, but maybe researching a really cool name was where it costed millions and billions of dollars for years and years, just slaving, just a guy at a desk, whole teams of people, just what is the best name? That probably is it. And another thing I noticed on here is that the most expensive med on this list is Namita, and there is a D in it. So if you double the cost of Namita, it's almost the same as Duexis. So possibly if someone begins the drug name with a D, it makes it more expensive because it's capitalized. And if you think about it, drug begins with the letter D, development begins with the letter D. It's actually starting to make a lot more sense. So I really apologize for that. What I said was wrong. I'm sorry.